part of me wants to tell you, just watch this movie. Don't worry about listening to a review. Just watch this movie because I love Joe Carnahan's work, and I don't think that this one gets enough love or gets the love that it deserves. But you know what? We're going to talk about it because I love this movie. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we are going to be talking about a movie that I picked up when a video store was closing, and I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, you know what? I like movies about police officers and stuff like that, so let's check out this movie. Today we are going to be talking about 2002's NARC, a Joe Carnahan film written and directed by Joe Carnahan, starring Ray Liotta and Jason Patric. I will warn you, there might be some minor spoilers in this review, but this is the type of movie that I don't want to spoil for anybody because there is some twists and turns here and there, and I don't want to ruin the experience. So I will say that this movie is on Amazon Prime, and if you like detective stories and things like that, and you're okay with a movie having a bit of an open ending, then this is a really good movie. It's got two really great performances from Jason Patric and Ray Liotta. So definitely check it out. Again, it's on Amazon Prime right now. What this movie is about is we see a scene, which, by the way, if shaky cam bothers you, the first couple minutes of this movie is going to bother you. We see an undercover cop chasing a perp. It's Jason Patric is chasing a guy, and the camera guy is running right after him. I remember watching the behind the scenes stuff, and I guess the camera guy was going full sprint with the camera as Jason Patric was going full sprint after this guy, and he's chasing him down, and this leads to the criminal taking hostages. First he takes a guy and he kills that guy trying to slow Jason Patric's character down. But then he takes a child hostage. Jason Patric is able to shoot the criminal and save the kid, but a bullet hits something because they're at a playground, and it hits a pregnant woman, causing her to lose her child. And this puts him on basically an indefinite leave. That's been investigated over and over and over again. And then we find out that he has been married for like a year and a half. Undercover work, if you've seen movies like Donnie Brasco, undercover work is not good for a family man. Well, that's kind of the situation here. While they seem to be somewhat happy, you can tell there is some underlying problems. Plus, he is a new father. His baby, I believe it was 9-10 months old. So, new father, fairly new marriage, and he used to be an undercover cop, which of course leads to issues with that kind of a life, and that is a big part of the plot, so I don't really want to say much more than that. But then he's brought in for yet another inquiry about where they start drilling him with questions about what happened. He's like, we've been over this. What are we doing here? It comes to find out they're needing someone that used to live the undercover life, because they're talking about, they start asking him questions. Does he know this other undercover cop? And he's like, I know of him. And this undercover cop was killed, and they still haven't been able to find those that did it. And they're asking him to pick up the case because he may have some contacts and things on the street that others wouldn't. He doesn't want to take it at first because he just doesn't want back into that life. But he's asked to look at some files, and even though his wife gets angry about it because, again, she doesn't want him back in that life because of what it did to him and did to their marriage and their relationship, he does take a look at the files because they say, look, if you can solve this crime, he wants a desk. Nick Tellis, Jason Patric's character, wants a desk job. He doesn't want to be on the streets anymore. He wants a desk job. and they said, if you solve this case, we'll give you a desk. And he's like, just like that, just like that. So he takes the case. Granted, I don't think he ever tells his wife, if I do this, they'll give me a desk, and then I'll have a job where, I can be a cop but not be out on the streets. And of course, this leads, especially him not telling her, leads to problems because he takes this job. That leads us to Ray Liotta's character, who is very close with this undercover cop. He basically this undercover cop and his wife were like the kids he never had. We find out Ray Liotta's character used to be married, but his wife died of cancer. But he goes, I became a better cop after she passed away because every connection I had was gone. That being said, we find out that his relationship with this other undercover cop leads to some things where he does have some weak spots, we'll just say. But Ray Liotta is one of those hard-nosed cops that will do anything to get the job done, and he's not going to be a very popular character, and he definitely wouldn't be a very popular cop nowadays. This is the type of cop that would probably probably has murdered suspects, whether they're guilty or innocent. And when some of the stuff you see in this movie, some of the things he does and is willing to do to protect certain things, he's definitely while he's definitely a dirty cop. That being said, when it comes to justice, he believes in justice, but his means of getting said justice is not the right way. So yeah, he's definitely in a lot of ways a dirty cop, and he's not the nicest person. He's angry. He throws out a few words that aren't too acceptable and never should have been acceptable, even though back in a couple hundred years ago, people thought it was acceptable. He's not the nicest guy, but very compelling character because he's one of those characters that is in his own mind he means well. In his own mind, he thinks he's doing the right thing, even though he's going about it all the wrong way. But anyway, he's introduced in the movie, and he was investigating his friend's murder since it happened, but they took him off the case because they felt he was too close. Nick Tellis, Jason Patric's character, brings him back in because it's like, look, he's the one that's got all the knowledge. They said, fine, you're going to work with him until this is over. So they become reluctant partners that at first they seem to get along, but when one does some certain things, the other one isn't too happy about it. And you come to find out that there's some secrets being held. And that's where kind of the movie goes. They go on this investigation trying to figure out who killed this cop and why. And also what really happened in this drain pipe where this cop was killed. And plus the stories that we follow is that we also follow again Jason Patric's character's marriage as it falls apart as this whole thing's going. And plus there's some other things of why that marriage falls apart. And again, I don't really want to spoil that stuff. But look, here's what you get with this movie. A slow-burning investigation that has plenty of twists and turns and clues along the way. While I don't think you could figure out everything that happened in this movie, you can definitely figure out some things because there are some pretty big twists of what happened and the people involved and everything else. And just knowing that Ray Liotta and Jason Patric's characters, they have to work together. They're supposed to trust each other, but you can tell they really don't trust each other, and really for good reason. But man, it's so hard to talk about this one because I don't want to say the wrong thing and spoil things. But it's it's just a fun ride to follow where the story leads them, where the clues lead them, where a fresh set of eyes with Jason Patric's character is going to catch something, where having Ray Liotta's character's experience gets them further when one has figured out one thing and then the other knew something, and those clues kind of merge together and they're able to move along to further in the story. And when this one, when it comes to a head in the third act, that's where it gets real crazy, because you start to discover all the truth. And when the truth comes out, it's shocking what especially Ray Liotta's character will do for justice, or at least justice in his mind. And I don't really want to say any more about this. I don't want to ruin any more of the movie, because I just don't want to spoil it for anybody. If you haven't seen NARC, and again, if you like slow burning detective stories and you're okay with having an open-ended movie where you kind of make your own mind up with what the characters are going to do with the information they have, then you're going to really like this movie. I know a lot of people don't like it when Joe Carnahan leaves his movies open-ended. I know people didn't like it how he kind of left the gray open. Well, it's kind of, this one kind of does it too. It's like, okay, you find out what the final story is. You find out all the truth, and you have to kind of make up your own mind at the end. So if you don't like that, you may not like this movie. But, when it comes to the two main performances, when it comes to the twists and turns, when it comes to the slow-burning detective story, I really dig this movie. Ever since I bought it on a whim when a video store closed. And it's on Amazon Prime right now, but I have the copy I bought at a dying video store. I still have that DVD to this day, and it's just something that I bought it and The Road to Perdition on the same day, and those are two of my favorite movies ever. And that was just a great day when I bought those two movies, because I sat and watched them back to back, and it was one of the best movie watching days of my life. But anyway, if you haven't seen NARC and you like the terms of the movie that I laid out for you, you're definitely going to dig this movie. It's really cool. It's really stylish. If you get a chance, if you can get a hold of the DVD, watch the making of, because there's just some really cool stuff that they talk about. Like, one of the stories is like Ray Liotta and Jason Patric, I guess budgeting was all messed up for this movie. So they weren't hardly ever getting paid to work. There were scenes they were trying to save budget money on. So there's scenes where they're asking people if they've seen this guy on the street. Technically, they're breaking the law because they're impersonating police officers. Even though I don't think they're flashing badges to these people, but they're asking people on the street, have you seen this guy? Those aren't actors they're talking to, or at least most of them. The ones that lead the story forward are, but there's scenes where, like, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy? And they're not actors they're talking to. So I just thought that was kind of cool. There's stories out there about how Tom Cruise loved this movie. Then wanted Joe Carnahan to direct Mission Impossible 3, but then they didn't get along on set, so Carnahan was gone. But anyway, there's all sorts of cool stories about this movie. If you get a chance to check them out, definitely do. I love this movie. Again, you can watch it on Amazon Prime right now, so you don't have to track down a DVD. But those that have seen this movie really love this movie, I think, and I'm one of them. And again, I watched it on one of the best movie on a whim. I got it on a whim, and it's still, again, one of my favorite purchases I've ever made. Whenever like a video store is closing down and I go buy stuff, because I didn't know anything about it. I knew the two actors in it, and that was it, and I love it. So if you get a chance to check it out, NARC is a really cool film. See you later.